Welcome to the Holy Land Dispatch podcast.
It was an exhibition of progressive virtue signaling, in all of its deceptive, immoral, and malicious form. Virtue signaling because, well, they can't help themselves. Immoral because of how they use the holy book to virtue signal. And deceptive because of who these people are and what lies beneath their sheepish presentation. In a video that came to my attention and will shortly come to yours, we see a group of what seems to be a group of religious Jews reading from the Torah. In attendance, the great Jewish scholar and known Zionist Rashida Tlaib. Let's watch. This group calls itself Rabbis for Ceasefire, and this public prayer is here to signal to everyone how some religious Jews oppose the policies of the Israeli government and call to stop the most just war that Israel ever fought since the Independence War in '48. For those of you not very well versed in the Old Testimony, the group of so-called rabbis are reading from Genesis 26:3, and the relevant lines read, "Stay in this land for a while, and I will be with you and will bless you. For to you and your descendants I will give all these lands, and will confirm the oath I swore to your father Abraham." So far, it all seems like a very sincere effort to out-compassion the compassionate left. What's wrong with that, you might ask? Note the rising and falling volume in the video. This is not a technical challenge they were facing. It was more, shall we say, a literary challenge. Apparently, the words of God didn't quite feel right to the rabbi when she hit, "For to you and your descendants I will give all these lands." It kind of doesn't sit well with the whole, "look at us, see how progressive we are" thing of it. Certainly didn't sit well with Rashida Tlaib. So what does the rabbi do? She mumbles and whispers the word of God. She is ashamed of the word of God, for God's sake. Well, I'm not surprised. Let's break it down and understand what we're dealing with here. The group of so-called religious Jews in the video belongs to a stream known as Reformic Jews. Just like their secular brothers and sisters from the progressive left, they pick and choose which of God's direction to follow and which doesn't sit well with our modern times. You know, what's the actual issue with keeping kosher? It's so 230 AD. And rabbis being men? Well, we certainly must do away with that. You know, Judaism needs to be more liberal, more progressive. Get with the time, Moses. And just like their secular brothers and sisters from the progressive left, the slippery slope of deviating from God's direction constantly leads them astray from morality. What starts with just a little bacon here and there ends with this shameful display. Whispering God's words in shame is so despicable, especially when it comes from a person pretending to be a rabbi. When we get on that stage to read from the Torah, it's with great reverence and pride. Hey, I'm going to say the words of God in front of my people. People donate money, sometimes great amounts of money, to have the privilege of doing that. And this miserable pretend Jew is ashamed to say out loud what every person can easily read. "For to you and your descendants I will give all these lands." It's not only shameful, it's deceptive and immoral. It's immoral because she uses the holy book in order to deceive other people. It is a heinous offense. To use the holiest of holy in order to break one of the 10 commandments, thou shalt not bear false witness. It's deceptive because she is not representing Judaism at all, but a progressive movement that in many ways is farther away from God than secular people are. I have no problem with secular folks, by the way. They say what they think and live based on their belief. This week we read Moses' speech to the people of Israel, the one we call the speech of blessings and curses. I wrote about it in relation to the way some anti-Semitic trolls abuse it in order to spread their garbage. You can read it in the link in the comments. In this speech, Moses lays out in great details and the strongest of language the consequences of following God's direction versus ignoring them. It's a simple outline of the reality we live in, as viewed by Judaism, and lays out the moral, ethical, spiritual laws of our world. Follow God's directions, and you will move towards achieving the goal for which you were brought into this world. Ignoring them, and the results will have the potential to be called hell. It's as simple as that, if we have to summarize this awesome speech. These progressive reforming Jews decided the laws of God's world no longer apply, and they can choose to zig and zag between the paths that Moses outlined so clearly. Well, God permits that. You actually can choose to try to do this tightrope act. But whether you realize it or not, and this virtuous single-leg progressive certainly didn't realize it yet, they actually made the exact same choice outlined in the curses part of Moses' speech. Because it is a binary. You either walk God's path or you don't. But the people are confused. These people are confused. And in their confusion, they decided to please the people who want to harm the Jewish state and whisper God's words in shame. In fact, that so-called rabbi reads the biggest blessing God gave Abraham in the same low tone that we reserve to reading the curses in Moses' speech. When you're morally confused like the progressive left, this shameful outcome is to be expected. After all, God promised through Moses, "This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live, and that you may love the Lord your God, listen to his voice, and hold fast to him. For the Lord is your life, and he will give you many years in the land he swore to give your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob."
Bye.